The Insta360 X5 could completely change the action camera market. Yes, you've often heard that a new device is a game changer, but today I can show you at least two clear reasons why this could actually be the case with the Insta360 X5. I'm comparing it to two of the most popular action cameras on the market, the DJI Action 5 Pro and the GoPro Hero 13. A comparison with the Insta360 Ace Pro 2 will follow soon. We'll take a look at the 10 most important categories that are important for an action camera, including image quality, recording time and software features. And as I said, I promise you, the X5 has at least two new strengths that could change the entire market. In fact, should change it, if there weren't a few weaknesses that still need to be solved. But more on that later. The big advantage of the X5 compared to a traditional action camera is that you can choose the optimal framing in post. You'll take a 360 shot with two lenses, get a complete 360-degree image, and can then choose the optimal framing. This is an advantage of all 360 cameras and nothing new. What is new about the X5, however, is that the two sensors are relatively large at 1/1.28 inches, slightly larger than the sensor of the Action 5 and significantly larger than the sensor of the Hero 13. You can shoot in 8K with the X5. However, as I said, you have to reframe these shots, basically cropping them. This results in an image with a resolution of around 2.7K, but resolution isn't everything when it comes to image quality. Here you can see a few comparison shots with 5K shots from the GoPro Hero 13 and 4K shots from the DJI Action 5. And there are now several features, including AI-controlled features, that either completely take over reframing or at least greatly simplify it. The X5 has another advantage over the two traditional action cameras. The selfie stick is automatically removed from the shot. You don't have to do anything. The invisible selfie stick effect is a typical effect of 360 cameras. The effect is possible because the two lenses of the 360 camera capture an overlapping image. To offer something similar, the Action 5 Pro also offers the option of removing the selfie stick from the shot, but this involves a subsequent editing of the recordings, as if you were to remove an object from an image in Photoshop. This creates artifacts, is only possible for shorter clips, and in low resolution. In combination, reframing and the invisible selfie stick effect are the great strength of a 360 camera compared to traditional action cameras. This is because they enable shots that would simply not be possible in this form with a normal action camera. The new larger sensors of the X5 now enable a significantly better image quality. But can the image quality of a 360 shot really keep up with the image quality of the GoPro Hero 13 or the DJI Action 5 Pro? Let's find out. In a direct comparison, you can see that all three cameras produce very nice colors. But the look of the shots from these three cameras is very different. This is mainly due to the particularly wide field of view of the X5. This is significantly wider than that of the DJI Action 5 or the GoPro Hero 13, which in my opinion is an advantage for an action camera, as you get significantly more movement and more of the surroundings in the same image. But this different look is of course also a matter of taste. Incidentally, all shots were taken from the same distance with the same pole. And yes, the X5 was provided to me by Insta360 for testing purposes, but this video contains no additional paid sponsorship. Apart from the different field of view, there are of course also differences in the colors. And even in direct comparison with the other two cameras, it has to be said that the X5 makes an excellent impression. I would even say that the X5 often has the best white balance and creates the most neutral image of all three cameras, even if you could perhaps reduce the saturation a little. The GoPro Hero 13, whose colors are often highly praised, seems almost unnatural in direct comparison. The Hero 13 also has difficulties when the sun shines directly into your face. The Action 5's image often looks very similar to that of the X5, but you can see that the Action 5's image has more blue tones, especially when shooting in the snow. This may look cinematic, but the image from the X5 looks more natural to me. Incidentally, all these shots were taken with the standard color profile of all three cameras and were not edited. The automatic mode was used for the shots, and I didn't make any manual changes. But the Action 5 and the GoPro Hero 13 have an advantage when it comes to colors. They both have a 10-bit log profile for heavy color grading. The X5 also comes with a very flat log profile, but this is only 8-bit. You also have to look very closely to recognize differences in detail and sharpness. And this despite the fact that the resolution of a 360 shot after reframing does not quite reach a 4K resolution. Nevertheless, I find it difficult to recognize a clear difference in the details here. The Insta360 X5 can also keep up well in this comparison in terms of dynamic range. The dynamic range has improved significantly compared to the X4 and is definitely better than the dynamic range of the GoPro Hero 13. All these shots were taken without HDR. Both the X5 and the GoPro Hero 13 have their own HDR mode for a better dynamic range. However, this is only available on the X5 in 5.7K and not in 8K. The Action 5 does not have its own HDR recording mode. And all that brings us to the first reason why I believe that the X5 is a real game changer. The image quality is absolutely comparable to the image quality of a traditional action camera, despite the 360 recording. I think you could see that clearly in these comparison shots. But there is another reason. All these shots of the X5 were 360 shots. These are to be reframed and have the very special, extremely wide look I mentioned earlier. Now it may be that you don't feel like reframing or don't need a very wide look for a particular shot. Then you can also use the X5 in single lens mode. In this mode, the X5 only shoots with one of the two lenses. You therefore do not need to reframe the shot. But in single lens mode, there is no invisible selfie stick effect, and the camera behaves like a traditional action camera. In this mode, you can shoot in 4K at up to 60 frames per second. With the X5, you actually get two cameras in one body, a 360 camera and a camera that you can use like a conventional action camera, and with which you can shoot in 4K. And even in single lens mode, the X5 can easily keep up with the image quality of the other two cameras. This means that if you want to use the X5 like a conventional camera, you can switch to the single lens mode and get a recording that, as you can see, is definitely comparable to the quality of the Action 5 and the GoPro Hero 13. So why buy a conventional action camera if the X5, even as a single lens camera, is at least as good? Perhaps because of low light shots? Does the X5 have weaknesses here? Just like the Action 5, the X5 has its own recording mode that is optimized for low light shots, the pure video mode. And I think it's well known by now that the GoPro Hero 13 is not a camera that's well suited for low light shots. Both the DJI Action 5 and the Insta360 X5 take significantly better shots in low light conditions than the GoPro Hero 13. This is mainly due to the GoPro's very small sensor. The X5's recordings look cleaner, are better stabilized, and simply better in every respect. However, the comparison between the X5 and the DJI Action 5 Pro is more interesting, and the result is surprising. The Insta360 X5 also clearly wins this comparison. The shots of the X5 not only have less image noise than those of the Action 5, they look much sharper in low light, have more detail, and are also better stabilized. The Action 5 Pro reduces the shutter speed to let in more light. This has a negative effect on the stabilization. In terms of image quality, the X5 is an absolute hit, and as a 360 camera, it can keep up with traditional action cameras in every respect. In many areas, such as low light, it even surpasses them. But maybe I'm wrong, and you have a different opinion. That's why I've tried to show you as many different comparison shots as possible today. But if you come to a different conclusion, just write it in the comments. Now I could say, that's it. The X5 is the better action camera. There's no reason to reach for the GoPro Hero 13 or the DJI Action 5 Pro in 2025. But it's not that simple, because traditional action cameras still have a few advantages today. And you should know them before you buy one of these cameras. Where the X5 can't quite keep up with the other two action cameras is when it comes to slow motion recordings. Both the Action 5 Pro and the GoPro Hero 13 are capable of shooting in 4K at 120 frames per second. They are therefore capable of producing high-resolution slow-motion shots. For a comparable image quality, you have to shoot in 8K with the X5. But this is only possible at up to 30 frames per second. Slow-motion recordings are therefore not possible in 8K. For 120 frames per second, you have to reduce the resolution even further to 4K. And since you still have to reframe the shots, the result is a video in a reduced resolution. As you can see here, the slow motion recordings of the X5 look quite usable. However, the Action 5 and Hero 13 shots look visibly better. Probably also to enable the high resolution and the many features, the Insta360 X5 has a relatively large body. It's visibly larger than the body of the GoPro Hero 13 or the DJI Action 5. At around 200 grams, the X5 weighs around 50 grams more than the other two cameras. A larger form factor and higher weight are of course a disadvantage for an action camera. After all, you often want to attach the action camera to your body, and especially if you attach the camera to your helmet, you will feel the 50-gram difference. The elongated form factor of the X5 is also not ideal for attaching it to a helmet, for example. The protruding lenses are no longer a real disadvantage, as the lens cover of the X5, just like those of the other two cameras, can be easily replaced if they have been damaged. All three cameras are waterproof without an additional dive case. The GoPro Hero 13 up to 10 meters, the Action 5 even up to 20 meters depth, and the X5 up to 15 meters depth. But you should know that the 360 camera can only take 360 shots underwater with a special dive case. This means that you can also use the X5 underwater without a dive case, but only in single lens mode. However, Insta360 offers a so-called invisible dive case for the X5, with which you can also benefit from the invisible selfie stick effect underwater and take cool 360 shots. But the handling for underwater shots is somewhat easier overall with the Action 5 or the GoPro Hero 13. The X5 comes with an endurance mode and can shoot in this mode in 5.7K 30 for up to 3 hours. But for the best image quality, you need to shoot in 8K 30, and in this setting, it can shoot for 1 hour and 27 minutes. The Hero 13 shoots in 4K 30 for up to 1 hour and 48 minutes. The Action 5 Pro even for up to 3 hours. If you leave the frame rate at 30 frames per second, none of the three cameras have major overheating problems here in the office at around 22 degrees Celsius. But in summer, in a very warm environment, I estimate the overheating risk with the X5 to be the highest, at least if you are shooting in 8K and there is no airstream. You won't have any problems with any of the cameras in windy conditions, for example when biking. But as far as battery life and overheating are concerned, the Action 5 in particular has advantages over the X5. At least if you want to use the cameras in the highest possible resolution. And I think that's it for the X5's weaknesses in this comparison. No, wait, the X5 has another disadvantage, but I'll talk about that at the end. Because to be fair, I should also point out two other advantages of the X5 that are often underestimated. A very important feature of action cameras is good image stabilization, and the X5 has a particular strength in this regard. It has by far the best image stabilization, and I think few people are aware of that. You can see here in direct comparison that the X5 stabilizes the image visibly better than the GoPro Hero 13. The stabilization of the Hero 13 is set to auto boost here, and thus to the highest possible stabilization setting. And the Action 5 can't keep up with the X5 either. With Rocksteady Plus, the Action 5 also uses the best possible stabilization setting in this shot. Of course, this is also due to the extremely wide field of view of the X5. All three cameras offer a horizon lock. This keeps the horizon straight no matter how you turn the camera. But while the horizon lock on the Action 5 and the Hero 13 leads to a strong crop of the image, this is not the case with the X5. And this is also an important advantage for an action camera. And the X5 has another particular strength. It offers by far the most software features in this comparison. Of course, this also has to do with its functionality as a 360 camera. The AI Highlights Assistant automatically recognizes the most important moments in a long shot. With gesture control, you can start and stop recordings by moving your hand. The Me mode takes care of the reframing and creates a reframed 360 shot directly in the camera, including the invisible selfie stick effect. And the Insta360 app also has a variety of editing features that not only make reframing easier, but also add special effects to your shots. And the list goes on and on. To be honest, the X5 has almost too many features, which can be a bit overwhelming, especially for beginners. If you are interested in exactly how the best features work, then take a look at my detailed beginner's tutorial for the X5. Yes, the X5 is a great camera, and I think it's a game changer in the action camera market for mainly two reasons. It delivers an image quality in 360 mode that can keep up with the image quality of a modern action camera. In low light, it's even the best camera in this comparison, and it also shoots in single lens mode in an equivalent quality, meaning it can also record flat clips of the same quality if required, thus replacing a conventional action camera. But it has another disadvantage. All this comes at a price. The X5 is the most expensive of the three cameras. It costs $550 and is therefore clearly more expensive than the other two cameras, both of which are now available for less than $400. You can find links to all three cameras in the video description. Check them out because there are frequent deals and prices can change quickly. If you use the link for the X5, you get an extremely useful lens replacement kit as a free gift, but this only for a limited time. So what would I recommend? Of course, I would recommend the X5. I think you could understand that from the video. This is also because I personally like the look, the many features, and the invisible selfie stick effect of a 360 camera. But of course, only you can decide for yourself whether the additional features of a 360 camera are worth the extra cost. And if you intend to use the action camera mainly on a chest mount or helmet, for example, the advantages of a 360 camera are rather limited. A detailed comparison with the Ace Pro 2 will also follow soon. Take a look at my tutorial on the X5 for more information. Stay tuned and give me a like as feedback if you found this video interesting. That's important to me. See you next time.